outgoing US ambassador due to wrap up his term with the incoming Biden administration to choose a new ambassador. Let's have a listen in.
Incumbent on the US and Australia, certain, businesses and so on, to find new trade partners, given that China doesn't always play by the rules.
Yes. That's when we talk about strategically reliable supply chains. I guess I'm getting into my tenure, and I can't be, if I get recalled a little early or get declared persona non grata a little early, it won't be a tragedy. We all were shocked at PPE, pharmaceuticals, other things that were not made available, and particularly, and that compounded the grievous era that the rest of the world was kept in the dark for at least 5 weeks. That there was a human transmittable virus that was raging through China, and that people with that virus have been put on planes and sent around the world. Those 5 weeks could have been well used, particularly in my country, to get our arms around what was coming, and that was that cost billions of dollars and worse yet, thousands and hundreds of thousands of lives.
The rhetoric coming out of the White House administration around China has sort of emboldened the country to slap back and be quite bullish when it comes to slapping down people that may come out against them, specifically when Australia backed an inquiry into the origins of coronavirus. Do you agree with that, or do you think that the Trump line with China has been expected from the American people?
Well, I don't accept the premise of your question with all respects. It's been bipartisan. The view that China is acted in a way that's inconsistent with normal values, that it's acted malignly, it's a threat to freedoms in the region, is shared on a bipartisan basis in my country, and economic coercion is just not what trusted partners do, what economic partners do. And I think it's going to operate to the detriment of the Chinese government. And let me be clear here. Our grievance is not with the Chinese people. Our grievance is with the current government of China. We would like for it to get back on side. We would like for it to return to following international norms and the rule of law. And if it does that, then we'll all be quiet and we'll be clapping.
Are you proud of Australia for calling for an inquiry into COVID-19?
Yes. I infamously said that when I first got out here, and I think it rankled some feelings in the government, that I thought Australia had greater capacity for leadership, and that we wish that Australia had the confidence in itself that the United States has in Australia. I no longer say that. Australia has shown great leadership. It's a much highly respected leader in this region. Other countries look at Australia and follow its lead, and I think that's one reason that the world is going to be a better place.
Ambassador, is the U.S. model of democracy undergoing a challenge at the moment?
It's undergoing interesting times. Look, I'm a lawyer, and so I always resort to the law. If you look at our Constitution, we're well within the guardrails. If you look at our process, it's not one that's easily understood. It made sense 244 years ago to our founders. But our Electoral College meets next Monday, December 14. The electors from the states will then vote to name a president-elect. Then later on January 8th, I believe it is, our Congress will ratify the election. To me, that's kind of what's supposed to happen. We've had contested elections before. It's an interesting transition, but the General Services Administration has released the transition money and provided office space. So right now, we're according to norms, we're probably a little ahead of where we were, frankly. We're exactly where we were on Bush v. Gore in 2000. I have a deep and abiding faith in and the genius of the American Republic. We're a messy democracy. We often fall behind early in the game, and we catch up. I mean, look. I mean, our scientists and our pharmaceutical companies and our drug companies have been absolutely brilliant on the vaccines. We've developed at least two vaccines to a 95% efficacy rate in world-class time. Our therapeutics are ahead. We just now need to get the treatment and the vaccines out to the American public and the world.
Ambassador Emily Evans from Sky News Australia. Australia's Parliament has just passed laws that allows the government to review deals made with foreign governments. One of those is the Belt and Road Initiative coming out of China. I guess, can you please speak broadly on the US's view on that initiative and whether you would support Australia potentially cancelling that deal?
That's an internal decision for Australia, any Belt and Road Initiative. What we have said is that any and all partners to Belt and Roads ought to take a look at them, that often it collapses at the end of the day into debt trap diplomacy or payday loan diplomacy, that local content, local hiring, local training is not there. That's a general statement. I'm not going to comment on any particular Belt and Road Initiative here. I don't think there are any projects here, so there's not much to comment on. But we still, as a matter of policy, worldwide, can recommend that potential Belt and Road partners really to do some deep diligence before they go forward. And indeed, we and other countries are willing to take a look at proposed Belt and Road projects and tell them what we think and whether they are commercially reasonable and whether or not it's just a project that makes economic sense.
Paul Garvey from The Australian. You talked there about trust driving investment in the US into Australia. We've got this new code now targeting two of the biggest American companies in Google and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like to pay more for news here. Do decisions like that potentially undermine that trust that American companies have to invest in Australia?
As long as you have reciprocity, as long as you have appeal rights, as long as you have the rule of law, all of which are extant in this country. We have not seen. I have not seen the new code. Our USTR did comment on earlier drafts, so the process is working as it should. I suspect that Facebook and Google would rather there not be a code of conduct, but at the same time, our own government is taking a look at that space. And we've got U.S. companies on both sides, so I've probably said more than I need to say or should say. But it's something that the Australian government has worked with the companies and listened to them, both the ACCC as well as the Treasurer's Office and the Minister of Communications. They've consulted with us. Everything has worked like it's supposed to work in many respects. Some U.S. companies may be disappointed in the outcome. Some U.S. companies may like the outcome, but it's not been declared top-down by edict. There's that you'll see happen in some places where one of the reasons that so many U.S. companies and so many U.S. government officials and so many U.S. politicians in both parties take a strong view vis-a-vis the PRC government, as so many U.S. companies have lost their franchise in China through government edict and without the rule of law, and have had intellectual property stolen. So it's not even.
There you go.